and welcome to Red Stain Radio, a Dead by Daylight podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Madison or Maddie, and I'm joined by my amazing co-hosts, and what better
Hello.
second round, Stevie
Hi.
and Bryson.
Howdy.
How are you guys doing today?
We're doing
Pretty
good.
good.
Think
It rained
everyone's
here
doing
earlier
real
today. I
nice.
loved it.
Oh, thank you. So this is episode 14 of Redstone Radio. Today we're going to be talking about the mysteries of the fog, looking at the lore of Amanda Young and David Tapp, also known as the Pig. Well, not David Tapp, but Amanda Young. And but first,
Well, no,
before we
he's a
get into
cop. He's
that,
still a pig. Don't worry. Even if he's a
oh,
detective,
whoa! I mean,
come on.
I get it. With
I have
Pig.
thoughts on Tap. But we'll get into that later.
We'll get into that, do not worry. But first, before we get into the lore of Saw and that kind of tome and all that other stuff, I'd like to mention that our beautiful listeners can send us your questions, discussion ideas, and comments by emailing us at redstainradio@gmail.com. Also, we'd love if you listeners and viewers would leave us a review on the platform you're listening to. So that's Spotify, Apple, stuff like that. That helps us get new listeners, and that would be extremely amazing, and we'd be really grateful. No pressure, though. No pressure. It's just if you want to.
And we
We'd love
love
you.
hearing from y'all. Please.
We
Yes.
Please.
love hearing from you. Now then, let's play the game. Right after some quick DVD news. So, first off, the new chapter, Sinister Grace, containing the Krisu and V. Bunyasak, is releasing tomorrow, which is the 23rd of September, aka Tuesday.
Will be
The Krisu got
yesterday if
some
you're listening to this on Wednesday.
or
Yep.
yesterday, yeah, whoopsie. Time zones. So the Krisu got some changes to their power, including more control over the intestinal whip attack. So that's when you're in your head form, you're trying to M1. The flow between the head form and the body form will feel smoother. There's going to be fewer mushrooms spawning at the start of a trial. I think currently it's 5, so I think it's about 4 or 3. Her headlong flight, which is her traversal in the head form, now has collision with survivors, which is a downside or an upside depending on what you think. But now she can go over pallets while in headlong flight, which ends the traversal power, which I have thoughts about, but we're only going to keep it brief because today is a jam-packed episode. It just kind of feels like Chucky again, and we all know how I feel about the Chucky-esque killers with the ghoul.
hmm
Ah.
She's
Projectile
she does sound like
Chucky.
she sounds like she's going to be a little more enjoyable to play in terms of her gameplay loop. Like there are fewer mushrooms, which is I like to hear. Ideally, you're going to run into more survivors who are already infected, so you don't have to infect them while in chase, which is the big issue I had where the loop was always I'm in human form, I'm spitting, infecting them, then jumping into my head form and downing them that way. This sounds like I'll be in my head form a little bit more, ideally, depending
Yeah.
on how efficient survivors are with their mushrooms. So I like these changes. Again, we have to figure out how she feels, on sticks or mouse and keyboard. So I'm excited to try her when she releases.
Alrighty. Something additionally about this chapter for Switch users, it's actually coming out on the 25th instead. Everyone else is getting it
Yeah,
tomorrow, which is the
weird.
21st. But it's going to be the 25th for Switch players. I'm not sure why, but I feel like that should be mentioned.
I think they said because of like certifications with the Nintendo Switch has changed. That is on
Yeah.
Nintendo, not behavior. So you can put your blame there.
A big
Yeah.
part of it is probably the game Dead by Daylight is still on the Switch 1, and they are
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on
basically
Switch
rolling out
twice
the
a
Switch
week
2 now.
still.
So
Yeah.
it's not likely they're going
And
to keep a lot of live service Switch 1 games up for much longer.
And
Yeah.
supposedly the dev kits for the Switch 2 have been very light, and so a lot of devs just don't have their hands on
Like
that kind of
they're
infrastructure.
being a little stingy giving them out and like
Mhm.
keeping the
Yeah.
resources for their new console. Yeah, yeah.
Very no, no, no. Additionally, for this chapter, V's perk Road Wife, which I kind of ranted about in last week's episode, will be receiving changes when it goes live. We're not sure what this is, but if I had to guess, maybe it would be like 200% to kind of try and combat other stuff, or maybe they'll just make it easier to get and a bit more frequent, which I hope it's more the former, not the latter, just because 100%, no matter what you do with the current requirements, it's not going to be good.
And the game even hard caps you at 100% heal speed. You can't like
Exactly.
stack botany and we're gonna live forever, unfortunately.
Yeah, sadly. Additionally, with the chapter, we're going to be getting some new Tome lore. So this is new implementation for lore going on in words. So instead of getting like a battle pass tied to lore, we're going to be getting lore with normally, I'm assuming, events and chapter releases. This is the first one. And I'm not sure if it's going to be for the Pursue and V, but it's likely. Maybe we'll
I
get
would
some like
imagine.
other
Yeah.
characters, but it's probably going to be that. And additionally, if I'm correct, so please feel free to tell me I'm wrong in the comments, there's going to be weekly additions to the Tome lore. So like week 1
Yeah.
we'll get some more, week 2, week 3. I don't know how long this will go on, but they are going to be doing it weekly after release for an amount of time, if I am correct. Additionally, there will be cosmetics, gameplay adjustments, and more included in the patch notes on Tuesday, which will also have a live stream.
Those
Sadly, I
Yep.
won't be
I'm
able to
excited to
always
check
talk
that out.
about because
always
I'll
fun to watch a
be
live stream and read patch notes and see like the tiny
yes.
Mhm.
things that you're not expecting on the Switch.
Speaking of which, in terms of streams, there's new rewards to get if you have your Steam/behavior account linked to your Twitch account. I think 246 or 356 hours, you get a
It's usually
Skull
something like
Shatter
that.
badge, a drum set based on V's drums charm, and a Kursu Chibi charm. So if you want to
The
get
Pursue
that, make
U2s.
sure accounts are linked on Twitch and hop on some official DVD partners or the official DVD channel when it starts streaming tomorrow on Tuesday. Or you've already seen it. But this goes on for, I think, 25th, 29th. So you've got
Yeah,
some
it's usually
time.
about a week or two.
Yeah, so you got time for charms. Don't worry, ladies.
My favorite thing, I'll
Additionally,
shout out the about the Twitch drops. My favorite thing to do is scroll through like the bottom of the list and find someone who has like less than 100 viewers, tune into them for those
Yes.
6 hours. I'm just
yes.
watching anyone play anyway.
Because I think they enable drops for all DVD
You just have to
streamers, which
be
is
in the DVD
great.
category, yeah.
Ooh, nice. And some final DBD news before we get into a kind of heavy topic, before we get into the topic of today's episode, is that the Tome has finished its first phase, meaning we're going to be taking a break from the weekly votes from the Tome for some time. We don't know when the second phase will start, but sort of the rough concept of the chapter has been decided. And for the last vote for kind of like the survivor perks and the sin slash mark mechanic for the killer has been decided and announced. For Survivor, it's going to be boldness. So these perks that the Survivor's going to have are about kind of like in chase, interacting with the killer. So I'm really happy for that because that's what I
The
voted
best
for.
perks. Me
Exactly, the
too.
best perks too. And for killer, we got each sin is unique, which I also voted for. I'm really happy because I kind of like we don't have a killer that has multiple status effects that differ depending on what you do. So if that's
Mhm.
what's going on with the killer, I'm very excited for that. And some final news before we get into the kind of heavy topic. If you use the code The Grimoire in all caps, that's TheGrimoire in the Dead by Daylight game, you will get 1 million blood points. And this expires on September 29th. So if you use that code anytime before then, you got 100, you got 1 million blood points for the character you want. So it could be V, it could be the Pursuit, it could be Springtrap, which is the right choice, or it could even be for Meg, which is a cool choice.
Not
Oh, I already
Meg.
spent it on Wesker. I needed to get him to P3.
Nice.
Wesker!
Nice.
Yes.
I just put
I
in a
need to
Tori.
use it probably on Kursu because she's not
Tori.
out yet, and I want all the perks on my stream trap.
My Tori is
Bring-
P50. I'm halfway to 100.
I'm
So
jealous.
be the first
Uh,
original character I get to 100. So that's cool.
Nice, because the rest are licensed. Because you got Ripley, you got
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm a licensed bitch, essentially.
You like your characters, your little blorbos.
Yeah.
You like when the
yeah.
dollies cross over and kiss.
literally. That's
And
literally
they're
me seeing it.
boys.
But what if
Ooh.
they kiss? Not Alan and Ripley. That's kind of a crap show, but you know.
Yeah. I think those two would not get along well.
No. Alrighty, we do have something that's a bit more serious slash negative, and that's going to be the recent AI announcement in recent behavior job openings. If you don't know, recently on behaviors like application places like LinkedIn and such, some of the job qualifications like coders had a not a requirement, but they were looking for people who had experience with generative AI tools. And if you don't know what Gen AI is, that's stuff like ChatGPT, Midjourney, basically AI that makes stuff, which is all the top recently. And though the Dead by Daylight devs have announced that none of these tools would be used externally, so we wouldn't see that like in trailers or cosmetics, it's still a hot topic because people just don't want Gen AI to be used at all. And sadly, it's kind of a norm recently for companies to start using Gen AI as a tool, which would have not been bad a couple years ago, in my opinion. But with the current landscape and how much pollution it causes, and just how controversial it is, and how smart it's getting, and all of that, I feel like it's better to dodge it. But sadly, we're not mega corporations; we're individuals. Bryson, Stevie, any thoughts on this matter you'd like to share?
Um, I think this is unfortunate news, considering their year has already been a hot mess in terms of PR. But then this is also coming off the heels of the community contest winners being announced the week prior. So it's really
Yeah.
unfortunate to see this and almost overshadow those winners, because I know there's been also some criticism there with some of the winners that were selected or voted for. I'm super happy for all the community winners, and they all deserve that. And there were just so many submissions, but yeah, it just sucks to see that this is kind of overshadowing that. And a lot of people were pointing out, like, for the job, it was the description. If you read through the whole description, it's very broad and general, and it has a few of those generative AI sentences. Um, so it's very weird as to what kind of position they're trying to fill. It just seems like they're kind of cast a wide net and really trying to capture the best candidate. What they do with this internally, I'm interested to see. You know, they did mention we're not going to. They're not. They have a heavy anti AI policy internally, but I'm certain that they have some use for it in terms of drafting cosmetics or banners or promotional materials or whatever it is. I'm sure they use it at some capacity. Every game development company is going to be doing this if they're not already. And that's just tech companies overall, or just companies in general, which is unfortunate because, you know, like you mentioned, Maddie, there is a lot of uh, controversies around AI. You know, you have the environmental side. It takes so much servers and electricity to keep these language learning models up and running. But then there's also the ethical side where for these things to produce what they produce, art, music, whatever it is, writing, it has to consume things, and you're consuming other people's art, and it is, you know, it's using that to feed itself, and it's learning from that, and in a way, those people should be credited. So yeah, it really sucks. I'm interested to see what comes of it, if anything, in the future. Hopefully, that stops here, but yeah, it's kind of a bummer to come off so quickly from the community contest winners, and I hope to not see anything like that going forward for the rest of the year because it sucks.
Stevie,
It,
any thoughts?
it's a rough thing to read. I think that they thought of it more innocuous than, the community does when they post
Yeah.
something like that. It's kind of off the cuff. Like if you imagine an interview with like a super new, fresh out of college tech guy, he probably thinks AI is the coolest thing ever. So it's just something to like talk about when you're at an interview with this new candidate. You ask them like, "Oh, what do you do AI for?" That way, they might be able to spill to you like, "Oh, I cheated my way through college by just having a thing write all my papers." Like that's a good way to scan someone out of an interview. But I think what they're looking for when they ask that question is stuff like, "Oh, every now and then I'll use AI to write to my boss." And they're like, "Oh, well, we have tools that do that because we hate writing emails." So it's kind of like a way for them to gauge like how intently um, they want to use AI. And the way they wrote it didn't seem like they do want to use it for creating art and assets and promotional materials. The way they responded to the community backlash seems like they know it's a not a thing they should be doing. It's very passe to be just AI generating all your stuff. And if you've ever seen like AI done book covers or like promo materials, it's just yucky. So I think they hopefully pride themselves more and will definitely hire artists to create those type of things, even if, they might see it as innocuous. It's definitely necessary to be paying people to do this type of work.
Exactly, especially like in the community contest last year, it had like what, 10,000 and 15,000, and this year it had like more than 10K submissions compared to last year. There's so many people who want to contribute and add and have passion. I feel like it's really important to, support this in a time where AI is starting to kind of like slowly get its hands on everything, and it makes people feel kind of like they don't matter, basically.
And if have you heard
Yeah.
of either you heard of vibe coding, the new thing right
Vibe
now?
code?
Vibe
No.
coding is you give an AI a prompt of the vibe for code you want. And then the AI pulls a bunch of code and gives you back a program or parts of a
Ain't
program.
no way.
And then you're supposed
No,
to use
no,
that code to vibe out the solution. And
no.
like all AI, it will give you a wrong but plausible answer every single time.
Hmm.
So your code will end up, referencing variables that don't get initialized properly or don't do stuff like that. Hopefully, they're not going to vibe code their game into a mess,
Hopefully say
but that's the thing I
Yeah,
fear the most.
I'm a hater.
yeah, especially when I hope I especially don't hope they don't use it for cosmetic stuff because like their cosmetic department, their art department, like they cook. Like the collections they come out with year after year. I'm sure there'll be some tomorrow that are revealed in the live stream. I'm sure are going to be fantastic. Like they recently had a birthday one that was sent around Chucky and the clown. Like they're just really cute cosmetics, and they come out with great ones. Occasionally they come out with not so great, like the weird backpack trend there for a while.
We
Like every
love
killer
I think
and
every
every survivor
character
had a
should have a
backpack.
backpack. I think they should go back
Ugh,
and fill in the gaps.
no. No. We don't need more backpacks in DVD. Like, what are you carrying around in there? A
Skis,
flashlight?
a pizza
Secret
box. You can
Skis.
see it.
Yeah.
It's big.
Something that you will not use ever in the game, or or like a skateboard or something. No, we don't need that. So yeah, they cook most of the time, and I'm excited to see what they come out with in the future.
Well, that was all the DBD news we had to talk about today. So, with that all said and done, let's move on to the topic of the show. So, today we're talking about Saw, all things Saw related, mainly though Amanda Young, also known as the Pig, David Tapp, and Tome 10, which is called Saw. Whoa!
The saw tone, saw
So,
10.
just to get everyone's kind of opinions and thoughts, I'm just gonna ask you guys, what do you know about the Saw franchise? We'll start with you, Stevie. Tell us.
Well, I guess my
Tell
notes don't really actually show exactly what I know, but I'll say I've been a huge fan of the Saw franchise since I started like binging horror franchises in high school and getting into that stuff. And Amanda was always like, "Oh, I love her because she's being the worst person possible, but I'm totally gonna forgive her because of the circumstances, and she's my little baby girl."
My
And
favorite girl, I
Amanda
forgive.
was what got me into the pig. I remember seeing like on the Steam community, a funny meme video where somebody did a pig compilation back in like when she came out. So it was old pig, and I had no idea what was happening other than that, they were popping off, and I needed to play this game and I needed to play her. But Saw as a franchise was something I got into later, and then found out exactly what she was all about, and the Saw franchise holds a big spot in my heart. So
That's so sweet. Oh, I
That's
love
great.
that. That's awesome. To think that the pig is kind of the reason why you got into this game. It's like
I'll
quite
never
a fun
forget it.
fact. Okay, okay. Bryson, can you match that fun? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Uh, I can't. My story with Saw, relationship with Saw is much less wholesome.
Oh,
I've seen Saw in the past. Like I've seen the first two movies, sporadically throughout my years growing up, and I saw parts of other movies. Like I've seen parts of saw parts of four or whatever. But over the weekend, we knew this was coming up, and I watched the first four Saw movies over the weekend. Um,
Incredible
they're
run, by the
great.
way. That is not
They're
something I
yeah,
advise the normal human to do. You are stronger than
yeah.
most.
I watched the first movie Friday night, half of the second movie that night as well. Finished it Saturday morning, and then Sunday I did the fourth movie, or I did the third and fourth movie. But yeah, they're oh man, these movies are great. They're so much a product of their time, like that early 2000s, like flashy, like
The editing,
just the
right?
way the horror, yeah, the editing is like super flashy, lots of flashbacks, some like quick, like slow mos occasionally, but also
yeah.
like quick speeding up, like when someone's freaking out, they speed up really quickly. It's like it's just such a product of a time, and they're great movies. They're really good, but boy, and we were texting about this. They love their flashbacks. Like almost every movie, half the movie is a flashback of some kind of events that are taking place, and it's just I don't know. They're great movies. But they feel like horror B movies almost. Like they're not. And the first movie wasn't any movie, but still, they're just like they just felt like B movies. But yeah, I love Saw. Um, Crazy to me that Tapp is a survivor. And by the way, spoilers for any of the Saw movies going forward, I guess,
Yeah,
because we may spoil some of these.
yeah, we should probably say
Again,
that. Oh,
I think
sorry, I
that's
was just
good.
gonna
I
say we
think
should
we're
probably say that
supposed to
really
spoil the
quickly.
Saw movies so that our listeners don't have to go in and
Yeah.
watch them if they're
yeah,
curious, right?
Yeah,
This should be the
but I
this
goal.
would.
podcast episode is going to contain spoilers for Saw 1, 2, and 3 specifically, and some light
Cool.
spoilers for the
I'll
future
spoil
ones.
Saw 10 if we need to as well.
I actually maybe because I actually have some questions regarding Amanda. I've only seen the first four movies. I know a little bit about what happens later, but from what I understand, it all takes place in the past of four
Every single
because
one takes place in the past, basically. Let's be for
it's like
real.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. But oh, what was I saying? Oh, it's Tap. He dies in the first movie. It's
Yeah, no, he's dead.
crazy. Like I was like, oh, this is Tap. He's a survivor. Cool, cool, cool. But speaking of which, these movies they do not like to carry on survivors. Like the protagonist essentially is just whoever is Jigsaw at the time,
Yeah,
which I kind of admire. Like you're doing something really different. You don't have these like reoccurring cops or whatever. Although there are some reoccurring cops,
yeah,
whether they're
like
good or not,
Hoffman.
yeah, it's kind of up to you. But like I just thought it was so fascinating that like Tap dies in such a like anticlimactic way in the first movie. It's just he dies. I was like, really? You're gonna get shot like that? Just really kind of goofy way. I'm like, I'm kind of shocked Saw got a survivor at all. Like it's kind of shocking to me. But that's where I'll leave it. But getting a meat plant, some of the scenes that are in that and what's in the game, really good. Really good adaptation of the map. So, but yeah, great job
Very
on you, Baver.
peak. Very peak.
Matt
So, for my
Damon.
personal experience, I remember, I want to say in like 20, oh God, I was like 16, 17. I was really bored, and my dad was like, hey, we have this totally legal thing that you can watch movies on your TV. I was like, what? So I sat down, I saw that it had Saw all the way up to the one before 10, quote unquote. It's not, it's the one before Spiral. Basically, I had every single one except for the one before
Right,
Spiral.
right. You have Saw 1 through 6. Saw 7 is titled Saw 3D,
3D.
and then
Yeah.
Saw 8 is
Yes.
Jigsaw.
Yes. So
Um,
it had
yeah.
all the way up until Jigsaw, and I decided to say fuck it. So I watched for the next 2 3 days every single Saw movie in order, and I kind of like ranked them in my head. And the only things that I remember from that, besides like how good they were, or at least the first three, was baseball cap John Kramer. Why was every woman showing off their boobs in Saw 3D? And
I've
and the
not
needle
seen that
pit. Those
one.
were like the three standouts to me. Like John Kramer, the baseball cap. Okay, I don't know how if you guys know this. I think it's Saw 5 or 4. They wanted to make John Kramer like younger for a flashback, but they couldn't get a younger guy, so they just put him at baseball cap and are like, yeah, he's 40 or something like that.
They do.
They're like,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
it's
that's a
four because
40 year old, and he looks like 70. He's just
yeah,
wearing a
he has a
baseball cap.
lot of flashbacks in four. Like all of his
There's a
scenes
ton
in
of
four
flashbacks in
are
4
that.
to like when he first started jigsawing.
Yeah,
But
Hmm.
then
he
later,
jigsawed
Maddie's talking
everywhere.
about Saw 5, where
Oh,
he
okay.
it's a flashback to after he's been jigsawing, but before the jigsawing that you currently know.
Yeah, but
Oh,
that's
okay.
about my experience with Saw. I would say I'm a fan. I haven't seen Spiral though, and sadly, I've heard kind of negative things about Spiral. Like, it's not bad, but it's
Hmm.
very much in the worst. I would say like in the bottom five of the Saw franchise, sadly. So, with that
Say
said
bottom
and
bottom 2,
done,
bottom 1. Cyrus
bottom one,
Spirals.
is it that bad? Oh
Yeah.
my God,
I've heard it was bad. Yeah,
where's been
which
Saw
is
3D?
unfortunate.
I
Are you serious?
mean, Saw 3D is it's kind of funny.
I mean, it is funny, I guess. But we'll have to talk about that later in the episode because I haven't seen that movie. It's the only one I haven't
Hmm.
seen. But we're gonna dive into just a quick like explanation slash I don't know what you call it, quirky bit slash definition slash description of the movie. So,
Hmm.
directed by James Wan, this torture horror franchise called Saw is a collection of gruesome tales that follows multiple characters consisting of police, victims, and the infamous Jigsaw killer, also known as John Kramer. He is a man who puts people into traps he deems as ungrateful for their lives or guilty, torturing them through elaborate traps where only the strong can live. Though I
Can
will
I?
say they lost the plot very fucking quickly.
Yeah, I want to comment on that, especially watching them back to back. Like
Oh,
a lot of the victims, like he's talking to them, and it's like through a lot of recorders in these
yeah.
movies,
And
like
Billy, we
old
can't forget our
fashioned.
baby boy Billy.
Yeah, the recordings through Billy as well, or TVs, whatever.
Or TVs, yeah.
Like some of the reasonings he has some of these people in traps is either really vague as fuck. It's just like, oh, you're you identify more with dead people, like you like what, like, and so they deserve to be in these traps. Like it's just
Mm.
kind of bizarre. So
Yeah,
I had a little bit of gripes with that throughout all
yeah.
four movies, but
I will say
yeah.
I agree with you because some people was like, you directly took advantage of people and did not give them the money they needed to save their lives. And then the other time it's like, you were depressed. Kill
Yeah.
yourself.
So that's where you find the further you go into it, the more they are unwilling to make Jigsaw not redeemable, right? The later
Yeah.
ones have to make Jigsaw a badass to make you want to keep watching. But the first one is very much, why does this guy get to decide? Is the horror,
Yeah.
Hmm.
right? It's one thing to have to cut your leg off to escape a chain, you're in a dirty bathroom, but it's another thing where a guy put you there because he had a grudge on you. That's the scary part, is that just an old guy who was vengeful and thought he knew best is what's causing all this. They lose that part after like Saw 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6, 7.
Hmm.
Saw
Especially when
7D, I
like
think is, sorry, I think Saw 7, also known as Saw 3D, is probably the pinnacle of that for me. Just because in the beginning of that movie, spoilers, so yeah, we lied. It's not light spoiler. Actually, this is a light spoiler. It's the first kill in the movie. It's like a public booth that people can see through. It's like in the middle of like everywhere, and for some reason, random people are now just noticing the giant glass booth with like two dudes with a saw in the middle of a girl in the ceiling. And they explain the reason why these three people are in the trap by John Kramer is that the girlfriend was a cheater and the other two were just there and were cheated on. I'm not kidding that.
That
wow,
is not how
that's
I'm
you
not kidding
crazy.
counsel
that.
a
That's the reason why
relationship.
one of them
Exactly.
will die. And eventually they bicker and it's like, yeah, this girl's a bitch. And they just kill her. And by the way, she has like only a bra on because it's what, 2004? And women must be boobiful, okay? They must
2010.
have full titty,
Yeah, I would
boobs,
say it's a little
bazonga,
later.
booba. But yeah, Saw 3D is one of the worst in my
I've
opinion.
seen that
I
clip, but I've not seen the movie.
Yeah, anyways, yeah, they lost the plot pretty later on.
Mhm.
I will say though, Jigsaw was kind of a redemption. Sadly, it sounds like Spiral was kind of like they kind of went back. But we're gonna talk about that later. Don't worry. Don't worry, guys.
I
Don't
want
worry,
to say
listeners.
a quick like aha moment for me watching these movies. I was
Yeah.
starting the first movie and I go in my mind I was like, why is it called Saw? And it kept
Oh
going.
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, the saws from the first. They have to saw off their leg to get out. Um, so like just like a my mind blown, just myself. Like I thought about it, but
Mhm.
I've never really thought about why it's called Saw.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that.
Yeah, so now that we got the definition and talked about it a bit, guys, did you know that there is a tome in Dead by Daylight, which is sort of a collection of lore, and one of them, Tome 10 to be exact, was all about Saw? Did you guys know that? Saw
I
10? I
personally
mean,
did
Tome
not.
10?
That's kind of
So
crazy.
good. It was so good when I
Yeah, and
realized they were giving her more cosmetics and they were giving her lore.
yeah, and I believe so far this is our only tome. Actually, this is our one of two tomes that have been licensed. The other one being Dominus with Dracula and the
W-
Belmont's boy.
We had an
Who's
Alan Wake one as well.
sorry?
Alan
There
Wake.
was an Alan Wake tome as well.
There
It
was a
was
tome for Alan.
called
I forgot about that.
yeah,
Not gonna lie.
and Alan Wake's voice actor. He voices all of them. It's really good.
Oh,
It's the only amount of tome. It's the only tome I've gone through
that's
personally.
fair.
Oh,
Like
that's so
So
it's
there's
kind of it's really
three of
good.
them.
I love the
Three.
voice actor.
Yes,
Hmm.
but this was the first one of those three in Tome 10. So this was actually kind of recent-ish. Now, I'm not saying it's like in the last year, but compared to like the first tome, this is actually kind of like newer. I'd say like last 3 years.
Hmm.
Anyways, before we delve into that, I kind of want to take like a few years back from that tome. So like year two, year three of Dead by Daylight. So little baby Dead by Daylight. people were kind of speculating what the next chapter is going to be. And eventually, we got a peek at pre-release material through some leaks, and eventually a trailer dropped the next day showing off the Saw chapter. Insert video slash trailer for you guys to watch. It's pretty cool, pretty atmospheric, a little basic, but we love that. Anyways, I was doing research for this episode as always, and some of the comments kind of made me chuckle just because they were like, "Oh yeah, this is like time capsule-ish." Like, oh my god, you can really like see how people thought back then. Uh,
Hmm.
did you guys know that the Saw chapter is 8 years old?
Crazy.
It's 8 years old.
So it came out 2 years.
You
No, it
sure?
would have
It's
been
like
three.
Yeah, no, it came
years,
out in
right?
year 3 or year 2.
Year 3. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
because
that's
it was the 7th DLC chapter released for Dead by Daylight. We're currently on 40, by the way, just for
wild.
food for thought.
And
So
didn't it come out alongside like 2 other licensed chapters? Like, isn't Bubba and Freddy Krueger all in like that little area too?
yeah, they
Mhm.
sandwich her, I believe. So
Mm,
I think
She
yeah.
was
Bubba
after
came out,
Freddy.
then Pig, and then Freddy Krueger.
Bubba Freddy
Okay.
Pig is what I think I'm reading right here.
Or maybe it's Freddy, Pig, Bubba.
Yeah.
Regardless, she was in the middle of like this
Bangers back to
trifecta.
back. Like all
Yeah.
those characters like play so differently too. So yeah,
Oh
they
yeah, they
killed
were months apart from each other. That's crazy.
it. Hmm.
Yes. Okay. I just want to talk about this comment because you ever like remember a controversy slash something passed in Dead by Daylight and you're like, oh yeah, that happened. So I did put the name of this user, but I don't want to send hate or like get them.
Oh yeah, you have
know,
old
us-
comments. I love that.
So one person, we'll call person 1, said, "Oh good, now we'll see someone other than Claudette in the fog because she used to be really popular." And then
Mm.
someone replied, implying you can see Claudette slash S. Remember when people were like kind of low key racist about people playing Claudette because you couldn't see her in darker maps?
Yeah.
Ugh, and
Got
people called her
real mad at people
Blendette.
playing
Like,
her.
obviously, I don't think people said that to be racist. It was kind of just like a cheeky, oh, you can't see her because she's blending in the environment. But when you kind of take a step back, it's like, oh, wait, that's kind of like, kind of weird.
Claudette also is, she's a botanist or like she's a wannabe doctor, I think is her lore. But she also has like a lot of her cosmetics are earth tones. They're
Yeah,
if you
earthy
look through her,
tones.
yeah. So she blends into the environment just generally really well,
Yeah.
which is good for like bush tech or whatnot if that's what you're trying to do on
Yeah.
certain maps.
But this was kind of like the first generation slash engine for Dead by Daylight, so the maps were a lot darker, the textures
Yeah.
were not as complex,
Oh,
so
I
it was
miss
kind
that
of easier to
ambiance.
hide in old Dead by Daylight. And it was more popular
Mhm.
too, because it was new, people were a lot newer, so obviously they don't want to be chased, they want to hide.
Hiding
So
was
that's
a
kind of
lot
like
more of the tactic, and people were
Yeah.
just liable to say, well, how can I do that the best? How can I get the best advantage at that?
Yeah.
And with minimal
Thankfully,
work,
though, I want to say like year 5, year 6, people started finally stop doing that, and they kind of let Claudette be, Claudette, and not like a meme slash for hiding.
and yeah, as
Sadly,
the
I cannot
engine
say the same
changes,
for Dwight, but
as the
he's
game
our
gets
little goofy boy, so it's okay. We're gonna talk about the release of this chapter, and would you guys believe it? It was buggy on release when they released the Saw
Shocker.
chapter with David Tapp and Amanda Young slash the Pig. Players couldn't get into the servers on release.
Wow.
They couldn't log in. Additionally, when the killer broke pallets, it sounded like kicking a generator, which
That's funny. That sounds
Yeah.
goofy.
But yeah, just remember, even back in year 2, the game was kind of low-key bugging out, like The Walking Dead. Not as bad as The Walking Dead, but like a little bit like The Walking Dead.
Hmm.
Another thing that I found interesting is that people thought her reverse bear traps needing a gen to be done, like for them to pop and start the timer, and you had to do a gen first. People thought it was too unfair for the killer. They thought it was too weak.
Oh wow.
That's interesting. People were like, actually, her traps should be on when you get downed, but as soon as you get up from the ground or when you get unhooked.
it makes you think about
Mhm.
how people speculate on like killers like that. Just anything new coming. People only can assume how the game plays, and the pacing of it is just always different once it's in everyone's hands.
Yeah, it was just very weird. Lots of people loved the theme, the license, they thought it was fun. Another thing that I was found interesting, I wrote in the notes, I don't remember why, remember the old key system along with the chapters release. Oh yeah, the key system. Remember when you guys had a key and you could like leave if you did like a certain amount of gens minus the amount of survivors in the trial or something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need one more gen done than the survivors in the game. So if you had 2 people
Yeah.
left, you needed 3 gens done, and you could both exit the game or exit through the hatch with a
Yeah,
key.
and you could just leave early. It's like, bye, killer. I just thought that was interesting. Anyways, uh, so here's something else that's important. Along with this chapter release, we got some lore entries, and today I'm going to be reading these lore entries for you. So, guys, would you rather I start with David Tapp or Amanda Young as our first dramatic reading? Once I
How
can close
much
all these
does
pop-ups.
how much does Tap have? Like he just
I
he's
think he has about like a page. Yeah, he's about a
like
page.
he's
It's
just
like
so insignificant in the first movie. It's kind of
I
crazy.
will say, Amanda and David Tapp, they have like half the lore entry for the unknown, like his base one, so that's kind of
Mm,
crazy. Like Amanda's
hmm
is a little longer than David Tapp, but like unknown was like 2 pages, I'd say. These guys are about one. David Tapp's like a free force of a page. So yeah. You two, what would you like to hear? Would you like to hear the story about David Tapp or the pick first?
I'd say let's get Tap out of the way,
Yeah.
just because I know that's gonna probably be the more boring aspect of this chapter. I mean,
Damn.
if you've seen the first movie, like he's just like he goes crazy after a few years. It's kind of weird. It's a weird
Well,
character.
let's start with the lore entry for David Tapp. Detective David Tapp was one of the good guys. His determination to see killers brought to justice and their victims avenged had led him through a long and respected career. When he first saw the details of the Jigsaw case, it seems like many others. More grisly and macabre, sure, but just another lunatic with a penchant for the overdramatic who would soon be behind bars. A stroke of insight brought Tapp and his partner, Detective Stephen Singh, to an abandoned mannequin factory, where they discovered Jigsaw's lair. They apprehended the man, but he managed to escape before being unmasked, slashing Tapp's throat as he did so. Leaving his partner, Singh went in pursuit, but fell victim to a booby trap. Tapp had failed to go by the book on this one occasion, entering the lair without a warrant, and had resulted in a detective's death. He was discharged from the force and left with a ruined throat and crippling guilt. He channeled that guilt into an obsession. He would find the killer, stop the murders, vindicate himself, and avenge his friend and colleague. Following the evidence trail brought him to Dr. Lawrence Gordon, and he staked out the doctor's apartment, sure that he would find some evidence of guilt. Then, he saw a stranger at Gordon's window and heard gunshots. Tapp confronted him, and the man fled, with the pursuit leading to an industrial building. Tapp's age caught up with him. A fight that he would easily have won in his younger days ended with Tapp taking a bullet to his chest. Slumping to the floor, he saw only failure. He had failed his partner and the other victims. Whoever the killer was, Tapp had been unable to stop him. More would die and would be his fault. He let the rage and guilt consume him and closed his eyes for the final time. Beneath him, the concrete floor softened. He dug his fingers into the ground, feeling dirt and leaves. Where his chest had been wet with blood, the shirt was now dry and the pain had gone. His eyes opened into a darkened sky, and the jagged, searching fingers of branches. Screams echoed throughout the forest, and a new determination filled him. His mind was clear for the first time in months. Victims needed to be avenged, killers thwarted. He didn't know what this place was, but he was still a cop, and he always would be. He had a job to do. So that was his lore entry. And not gonna lie, it's kind of a problem with a lot of the licensed killers in the beginning of Dead by Daylight's kind of life cycle. It was very much a recap, and then, oh yeah, and
Yeah,
then they popped in the fog. Guess they gotta do their job. That was it.
crazy that he is pulled into the fog after he's shot. That
Yeah.
is really interesting. So essentially, the entity is giving him a second life. Unfortunately, it's not a great one,
I was
but
gonna
it
say,
is a
is it
second life
a second
nonetheless.
life? Torture.
Yeah, maybe a worse hell than where he would have gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is essentially a recap of the first movie. Uh, the sequence of him getting his neck slit and his partner dying from a booby trap is really cool, and also, which we'll get into about Amanda in a little bit, the only time of the first four movies where you see the wrist blade essentially on Kramer, who uses it to like escape, which I thought would be really fascinating because you don't see that anywhere else in the first four movies. Yeah, I just thought it was a cool nod because when Saw came out, the Saw chapter came out, I was like, I don't really know much about Saw. Like, I don't know who Amanda is. Why is she wearing a pig mask? So yeah, it was cool to see that represented in DVD.
Stevie, thoughts on David Tapp?
I think it's just a recap. It's if you've seen Saw 1, it's you can point
Yeah.
to it and say, "Oh, okay, so he did survive." Oh, I thought he was the cool guy. And like he didn't deserve to get done that way. He gets
He got
shot
done
and
No,
dirty.
they don't even have a name that it was Mr. Hinkle. Hello, Zep.
Hello, Zeb.
yeah,
Yeah.
the guy, and for those who haven't seen the first movie, if you're wondering like how he gets shot, it's not like they're like there's like a struggle and they're fighting for the one gun that's between them, and the one guy's like up against a wall, his shooter, and then he like ducks really quickly and shoots behind him. It's a really bad scene, I think, and just the way Tap goes out sucks, because that guy who shoots him dies like 2 minutes later by
Yeah.
someone else. So yeah, it's a real bummer what happens to Tap. So
Very much. What's going on here? Why'd they do that? But
yeah,
yeah,
I mean
just
it was an
how-
indie movie. I guess they didn't expect it to blow up.
They do
yeah, just
portray him
wondering
pretty well.
how-
Like if you don't know who the character is, you get to see like, oh, okay, he's a guy who's really all about justice. There's nothing
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
ambiguous here.
Before we go on to Amanda, some key things I want to remind the audience about my thoughts later on when we talk about the tome, because I've got thoughts. David's character is all about guilt, justice, and a vengeance. That's like the three main pillars. And we're going to kind of see why in the later tomes, minor spoiler for the tomes, why I feel like it kind of did a disservice to both Tapp and Amanda. Mainly Amanda, but definitely Tapp too. Now, with that said and done, let's move on to the killer, the pig, aka Amanda Young. Ahem. Why is there so many pop-ups? When John Kramer, better known as Jigsaw, planned for his son to be born during the Chinese zodiac's Year of the Pig, he wanted it to represent fertility and rebirth, a new beginning for him and his wife, and the start of a charmed life for his son. But that plan was shattered on the night that a junkie broke into his wife's clinic hoping to score. After this event resulted in the death of his unborn son, John finally caught up with the junkie, making him his first test subject. And the pig was changed forever too. It became a representation of the disease that was rotting John from the inside, a reminder that we are just meat unless we elevate ourselves by our actions, by grasping life from the jaws of death. The pig became a vessel, an agent of Jigsaw, conveying the subjects to their test. For some of those who emerged victorious, the pig could still be a rebirth into their new lives as apprentices, even disciples, of Jigsaw. That was the case for Amanda Young, a troubled soul whose life had been a catalogue of harm both to herself and those around her. That changed when she faced and bested Jigsaw's test. Deciding her life was worth something, she became devoted to Jigsaw's cause, ready to take over when cancer consumed him. But she became more dependent on John, her anguish at his impending death combining with belief that their test subjects weren't capable of saving themselves, of being reborn in the crucible of the games. Seeing this, John presented her with another game, another chance to save herself. But Amanda let her rage and jealousy rule her actions. She failed the test and took a bullet as a consequence. Bleeding out on the tiled floor, darkness engulfed Amanda's vision, accompanied by a sound like creaking wood. Then she was in a forest, once more viewing the world through the eyes of a pig. Trees surrounded her, their branches clawing at her from all sides. Waves of panic washed over her, and she could hear her breath reverberating inside the mask. Had she been damned, cursed to spend her days here in this guise? Or maybe this was another test. Maybe she hadn't failed at all. John always thought one step ahead of everyone else, planned for eventuality, and he would never give on her, surely. Jigsaw may have gone, but he had passed her on to another, a being for whom she would be the pig again. Ultimately, she saw now that she had been right in the choices that she made. The time for games was over. There was no chance of redemption for any of them. They were meat, and meat was destined for slaughter. And that's the pig's entry, and some quick thoughts. Why is half of it about John Kramer? Like, I get it, so be like, yeah, this is the pig. But, like, this is fucking Amanda Young, not John Kramer. That's not a 70-year-old man with cancer. Why are we talking about him? Sorry. Stevie,
Yeah,
what are some thoughts?
Unfortunately, you can't really have
There's
Amanda
a
Young
lot, yeah.
without Kramer.
Yeah.
They kind of come hand in hand. Um, the whole test that they're talking about is the entirety of Saw 3. So if you just want to jump to that, you can. But essentially, like, she's an apprentice of Kramer, right? So like he
Theoretically,
is very
his
much
first apprentice.
The first.
yeah, and like the very roots of Jigsaw of the pig, that killer is rooted in John Kramer's backstory, and so it takes several movies to get through all that. But even then, like there's so much to tell. So yeah, without explaining who John Kramer is, you can't really tell who Amanda is, which is a big part of that.
Stevie Fox.
With the John Kramer bits, they work it so much into her life, where in Saw 1 you just see her test and you see her mention that he saved her, and you kind of get the hints that like maybe people have a connection to John Kramer if they're saved, if they pass the game. And it really kind of, you can see it as it twists her mind into he's the only thing that matters now. If her life was in his hands for that game, then why shouldn't her life be in his hands from now on? If all she does every day is keep him alive, she's his caretaker, he's kind of a surrogate father figure, and she does all the heavy lifting, quite literally. You can't really
Yeah.
think of the Jigsaw series of one old man doing all this. He does need people he teaches how to be engineers and, psychos. So she has learned everything she knows from him and has gotten clean off drugs with his help. So she's kind of indebted to him, which not really
Mhm.
clean. You owe yourself a lot more than that. But she's just all consumed by John Kramer, the Jigsaw killer.
Yeah. So, kind of parroting what Stevie and Bryson said, the main focus of Amanda's character is that she's kind of got her own idea of what right is or what justice is in her opinion, and she really relies on the man who kind of almost killed her because in her eyes, he brought her a new life. He guided her on a new path. And what I like about the story told by Dead by Daylight is kind of shows that she's dependent on him not only for saving her life, quote unquote, but also direction because after that she has no purpose. Now she has that purpose and kind of these themes of like jealousy, wanting control over others where she lacked it before. These are kind of like key concepts in her story, which kind of parodying what I said about Tapp is kind of the reason why I was disappointed in Tome 10 with her lore more so, which we'll get into. Teehee. In like 5 seconds. So, as I've kind of talked about a lot, there is a tome, but we have one more piece of lore to talk about, and that is the map entry for the game.
Mm.
Ooh. So here's one more quick debrief. And if you don't know, the game is basically Gideon Beat Plan. It's one of the maps in Dead by Daylight. And it's kind of like the base of John Kramer, Amanda Young, and his disciples. It's where a majority of the tests are held, not all of them, but a majority. And it's kind of like the place Jigsaw was born, sort of.
Mhm. And real quick note about the movies that I noticed with all the locations that are essentially where all of these games are set up. They're either at the meat plant or some other weirdly abandoned place, like a school or like there's just so many random abandoned places, and I don't even know if they establish like where this is set, like what city, but
I think
there's
they
just
do
like so many
actually.
abandoned places, like in Saw. Like it's crazy. So you see a lot of different places, but Gideon is very much a reoccurring location.
Yeah, I have no idea where these places are set. I don't know if they do mention a city or a state.
I don't
They
think
are
so, but
primarily set in an unnamed gritty city in the United States,
Real
like in New
shit.
okay, a
Jersey
named
or
gritty city. I love that.
yes.
But the lore reason, I guess, for y'all is John Kramer, civil engineer, before he retired and got his
Yeah.
life ruined by cancer and a miscarriage. He
Yeah.
was a civil engineer, so theoretically he could still go to, City Hall and say, what places are abandoned? What
But
Yeah.
also,
places
like,
will
doesn't
so
it
no one check
tip off the
out?
cops when there's like, hey, you know that John Kramer, that murder guy, the Jigsaw killer, he's like keeps buying, like taking these old abandoned places and making them into like death traps. Can I have like an abandoned school or a factory, please. Madame Clemo.
What are you about to demolish soon? I need to kind of bury some evidence soon. We got a clock
Yeah, just
ticking.
really
There's a couple
quick.
people, held up.
So, let's get back to the game slash getting meat plant lore entry. The sickly glow of fluorescent lighting bathes the room where Jigsaw planned out his games. This place is the product of a fevered mind, desperately trying to complete their life's work, their legacy, before their inevitable end. A place of creation and destruction from which devices of death and rebirth were produced. Below is the crucible itself, the location of so many tests and decisions. The smell of fear, blood, and death has soaked into the brick walls. The corridors are a maze, disorienting the test subjects as they traverse the game rooms. And, at the heart, a bathroom, reverberating with the rattle of chains on tiles. A door is pulled closed, and the room is plunged into darkness. So that's our Skrunkle, Jordan, I believe. Dr. Jordan.
Dr. Gordon, Lawrence
Dr.
Gordon.
Gordon, not Jordan. Ugh!
What?
Dr. Gordon,
Huh.
trapped in his little. Well,
That's
trapped. No, he wasn't the one trapped. It was the
No,
other guy.
exactly. That's the funny part. Is the map does have Dr. Lawrence Gordon trapped in the bathroom because it's got the blue button up and the white pants.
Yeah.
But then on the
Mhm.
other side of the
Technically-
room is a second severed foot. They just put two of the severed feet in there as if that's what happened.
Technically, it should be the other guy.
Yeah,
But
the
jokes
entity makes
aside,
mistakes. That's canon.
How I
Hey,
like to think
the
about
entity's
it.
just decorating.
Yeah. How I like to think about it, this is Amanda's perspective of the map slash the game, because there's kind of like a fan theory that all the maps are based on the killer or survivor, depending on who it's with. How I like to see it is kind of like a combination of Tapp and Amanda Young, seeing how Tapp kind of failed Dr. Gordon, and same thing, well, not failing, but Amanda Young felt like he should have died. That's why he's dead in the bathroom. That's kind of my thinking. So the map reflects that, even though technically in the real world, he is alive. Spoilers. Oh!
Mhm.
Oh yeah, technically Saw 1. One of them succeeds their test and one of them fails their test.
Pretty
Yeah.
No! Save me! Save me, Kramer!
I'll go get help. Perfect Gordon impression.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Tome 10, Saw. So, as mentioned before in the trailer for Tome 10, we got some huge lore drops, which I'm just realizing I did not mention the trailer for Tome 10. So, let's talk about that. Trailer for Tome 10. Do you guys remember the trailer for Tome 10? Because for me,
No.
this is like Taylor Swift announcing a new album. This is a major event right here.
I've probably never seen it.
I get where you're
honestly.
coming
I
from.
probably
No, I do.
have never seen it.
Yeah, but basically what happens in this trailer is that the observer is sort of walking around and he comes into contact with the entity, or should I say, the Billy doll. And the Billy doll speaks through John Kramer's voice, entity claws coming out of its back. And it says some pretty deep stuff, some very much like, oh, okay. He's starting to do like a test of the observer. And the major lore thing, which kind of makes it like go, wait, what? Saw's canon slash, oh my god, the licenses actually matter, is as Billy is doing this monologue, the observer starts to doubt himself. And in his hand, the fucking Oris breaks. And if you don't know or don't remember the episode where we talked about the lore, the Oris is basically the one thing protecting the observer from being touched by the entity. So Billy slash the entity slash the Saw license is intricately tied to Observer because it's the moment where the Oris breaks. Because from that trailer, we never see it again. The Oris is gone. The Observer is
Wow.
basically alone with no protection, no tower, nothing. And I think that's really interesting because it kind of carries the concepts of Saw and John Kramer's judgment into Dead by Daylight's lore itself, which should have been a reflection of the tome. But sadly, as we'll discuss later in the episode, that was not the fucking case. Sorry. Phoebe Bryson, thoughts on the trailer that I just explained?
I only have a question. Like, is there a blatant reason why the Oris breaks? Is it something that they're talking
It's not
about
like-
that maybe refers to that, or is there something that the puppet does specifically?
I can't
To
be
break it?
100% correct on this because I don't remember, but if I'm correct, it's because he started to doubt himself because you need to have like a clear mind to use the Oris.
Oh,
But having
okay.
that distraction from the observer, kind of judging from the observer, from the entity, judging the observer, it sort of shatters his confidence, makes him lose hope, and gives into despair, hence why the Oris breaks. If I'm correct.
That's cool. That's cool. I get that. Cool.
If the entity was just picking like here's the thing that everyone remembers from Saw, because everyone who I pulled from the Saw universe remembers this puppet really fondly. And I guess it was just trying its luck. It happened to be
Yeah.
like the one thing that freaked out the observer, just enough. Like, right, if the entity really was thinking about it, then you can say, okay, it's intentionally. The entity game recognizes game, thinks that John Kramer's pretty cool. But if it's just a random thing, if it's just it pulled something out of thin air, it's pretty funny.
Also, I do have one more quick thing to mention. The Oris is technically used in the future, whether that be through lore entries, because that's kind of the reason why we get the lore. The only problem is we don't see the Oris in cutscenes, and I don't believe it's mentioned
Okay.
in the lore forever. So gameplay wise, slash kind of lore, it's still there after this, but we don't see it again, which is kind of the
Mhm.
confusing part. I think it doesn't exist in lore, but for gameplay purposes and for us to access lore, it still exists. It's weird. It's weird. The lore is weird.
That's
So now
okay.
that
We're
we
we're
got
here to
that out of the
cipher it.
way, let's talk about Tome 10. So Tome 10 is really interesting because besides the whole lore stuff, this was the first licensed tome. So this was looking at characters not original, but owned by someone else. So that means they got to tell new stories. So this was really interesting for a lot of people because it's like, hey, what are they going to tell that's different from the movies? Is David Tapp going to have like a sort of mini character arc that sadly gets forwarded because of his all-consuming vengeance to get revenge? Or maybe for Amanda Young, we could see more of her internal turmoil. Does she ever doubt herself, not for supporting John Kramer, but like herself? Does she feel like she's doing the right thing? Interesting things like that. However, we're gonna talk about that shortly. So in this tome, we got six things basically. We got a mini episode slash short for each character in the tomes, and we got three stories in the tomes. One of which we will not be talking about, which is Things in the Fog, which I really like. Sadly, though, he's not Saw related, so we're ignoring that. My Shayla, I'm sorry. Maybe next year in March you'll come in and we can celebrate, but probably not. Let's be honest. Anyways, with this, we got two stories and two videos sharing the same name: The Pig, Vain Ambition, and David Tapp, Desecration of the Heart. So I'm not going to read these stories verbatim, just because it's going to take some time and we're almost at an hour. So I'm just going to briefly summarize them. So, guys, what would you like to hear about first, David Tapp or the Pig? I will say, though, I'm more critical of the Pig.
Let's flip it
So,
around to pig and then Tap.
Yeah.
oh, okay. So let's talk about Vain Ambition. So this sort of short story follows Amanda Young and John Kramer, shocker, and they're trying to set up a new test, specifically for a mayoral black candidate called Grace Wright. And the reason why they're targeting her is basically she's polluting her company and her are polluting the local ocean slash river slash sea water body a lot. She's not eco-friendly. And Amanda Young is like, damn, John Kramer, this girl sucks. And he's like, yeah, what do you mean? And she's kind of coming to terms that he's dying of cancer and there's not much she can do. So there's a bit of like back and forth of her being like, oh God, am I going to be fine without Kramer? And then she's like, actually, no, I'll be fine without Kramer. In fact, I'm going to do this without him if he's going to be a little bitch. Sorry, didn't mean to say that. So she goes through the sewers and goes into the mayor's house, who was now elected mayor in the story. And she waits in the bathroom, listening to her footsteps because she's been stalking her. And she's kind of thinking about, do I really want to do this without like John Kramer's permission? Yeah, and she smacks that bitch and she knocks her out. And then she puts her in this sort of trap. It's like underground in a sewer, and basically water's gonna slowly fill, and the mayor has to look through bottles to find a key to undo a shackle on her leg or she'll drown. Stuff like that. So as Amanda's paying the keys, she's wondering, does she really deserve to be free? Does she deserve a chance at a new life? And she thinks about the pollution, about John Kramer, and ultimately decides to rig it. And she throws away the good key and puts in the bottle the bad key. And in this video, we get to see the mayor kind of like struggling with the shackle, trying to get out. She's looking for the bottles. She cannot find the key. So she does something pretty gnarly. She rips off her own foot using the bars in like the sewer area. And she's
Damn.
drowning as she's doing this. And eventually, she's able to yank her foot off. She's lost like half of her foot, like below the knee, half of
Oh.
that leg. It's gone. And she sort of swims to the top, crawls out of the sewer, somehow moves a manhole with only her arms. So good for her. Good job, Grace. And she collapses on the street where people get her. And that's the end. Now, here are my issues with the story. First half, pretty good, pretty decent. we're learning about Amanda and kind of her. It's the same thing basically from the movie and the games, I think. So, same thing, pretty boring. And then it just goes to Grace and John Kramer. Why? Respectfully, why? It feels like we're going somewhere good, we're getting some lore, we're getting interesting, and then we're like, actually, let's make this a mini Saw story. Let's look at Grace. It's like, no, no, I want to know more about Amanda Young. I want to see this kind of like turmoil without herself, about disobeying John Kramer and doing her own thing, the beginnings of like her sort of downward spiral, haha, in Saw 3 and connecting that to Dead by Daylight, but they don't do that. They go into just the same thing again, being like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need guidance. I just need John Kramer daddy. I'm sorry, it's not great. So, Stevie, Bryson,
You're
thoughts
right.
on
They missed a
Inhibition?
chance. If it was a lot more of her personal life, a lot more of who she was before she put on the pig mask, I think that would feel a lot better to someone who likes her as a character. But as like a
Yeah,
flashy promotional thing, everyone just has to glance over it and say, "Oh, Saw got new content." Not who is this character from Saw?
yeah.
It's if it's new, if it's a Saw trap, if it's Jigsaw, people recognize that.
And Bryson, thoughts
Yeah,
on
it sounds like they really just try to connect the dots between Amanda being a victim and then eventually escaping Kramer's traps and then becoming an apprentice, and then her losing herself of following Kramer's rules because Kramer is like, you can't escape this trap. There's always a way. But with Amanda in the movies and he's testing her in 3, she doesn't do that. She rigs them to where they die regardless. Um, so it sounds like they're trying to create an origin for that, and then maybe it just kind of gets off off tangent a little bit, and they want you to root for Grace in a way. Kind of weird for them to do that. So I'm not sure. I think it's fine, but it just sounds like they're trying to connect the dots of when she becomes an apprentice to when she starts to lose
yeah.
that Kramer creed, essentially.
Yeah, to kind of like simplify my thoughts on the story of Vain Ambition of Amanda Young, it would be I wanted to know more about her and less about her victim slash John Kramer. Because it felt
Hmm.
like we're going through that. A majority of the story of was focused on her. Like kind of her playing the trap. Like in the story, she's like playing the trap. She's like staying up all night. She's taking like drugs and not drugs. She's taking like painkillers and alcohol and all this stuff. And she's like kind of doubting herself. But it's like I wanted more of that. I felt like it should have been longer because these stories are like 2, 3 paragraphs. And altogether, I think it's like 2 pages, which does not feel like enough. Especially for a tome, I kind of wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about how she felt and like kind of this turmoil. And maybe they could have even made it an origin story of her starting to rig the traps, but it didn't feel like that. It just kind of felt like a day in the life of Amanda Young before Saw Free.
But that
And
kind
that's
of
why I
is
kind
it.
of
Like they
disliked
do
Joan Ambition.
retcon her where she kind of ends up rigging or failing every trap that isn't her life on the line, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
If it's her in a game, she will do her best to live. But if she is putting someone else behind a game, she will judge you and she will say, "Well, why should you live? You don't deserve it." Just period. She does want to be that arbiter and she thinks like she has a grand power to take out the evil people in the world. And if she gets convinced that you don't deserve to live, she will just try and off you if she can, if Jigsaw doesn't say no, and if she can slip one by Jigsaw, she will. And I like that part. It's kind of her whole core. She gets to be the bad killer. She's the one who does kill people. Jigsaw's right. He's giving you a chance, but he still put you in this fucked situation. And I think this story just tells more of that, where it's Jigsaw was doing it the right way, but Amanda did it the wrong way. Where it's like, well, maybe Amanda's right. Maybe some people don't deserve to live. Maybe she does have a chance to kill a bunch of cops. That would be pretty cool.
Sorry. But yeah, that's basically how I feel about that. It's like, you know, I kind of wish there was more and less on certain things. So yeah, that was Amanda Young, and that was Vain Ambition. And now we're gonna be talking about David Tapp and Desecration of Heart, which I do like more. I don't love it. I give it like a 4 or 5 out of 10. It's very okay. And that's because it kind of just tells much of what we already know. Where the pig, I feel like it was a bit more annoying. David Tapp there isn't anyone else for him to focus on. So I felt like there was a lot more to learn about him. So this focuses on the Sorenko family, specifically the son of Mr. and Mrs. Sorenko. During the story, we kind of flash back between David Tapp coming to the parents and telling them that their son has died and just died, period, versus flashbacks to David Tapp in like this kind of abandoned factory trying to free this man and kind of conflicted about chasing the man who put him in the trap, who might or might not be John Kramer, maybe Amanda Young, we're not sure. Anyways, throughout the story, we kind of flash back between the two in this Jigsaw killer case, and we see that David Tapp, in this instance, instead of chasing the killer and leaving the guy in the trap, he lets the killer go and tries to free the kid, but the guy can't get out, and he dies in this kind of like jackhammer trap. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like there's a drill going up to his chest, and not gonna lie, it feels kind of weird because I don't know if I misread something, but it felt like there was not much the guy in the trap could do. But also looking at
Mm,
the later Saw movies, are we surprised?
yeah. Well,
So
it sounds like the killer was probably Amanda then. If he couldn't get out, maybe
yeah,
it was
that's kind of
rigged
my
just so
impression
he would
too.
die. Mm,
So yeah, it kind of goes through that, and we kind of see that Cap doesn't directly tell how he died, and he kind of struggles with that guilt of like, could I have done something different? Was this the right choice? Regardless, I'm gonna bring vengeance to this family and Sorenko, the Sorenko son family, and that's kind of it. And the little video for it is basically just a flashback of him finding the Sorenko's son, blah, and the Jigsaw killer running away. He tries to help, fails, dies. He's traumatized. And my problem with this kind of lore is that it's kind of the same as his origin story, not in just the lore, base lore he has, but in Saw 1. He finds this facility, he tries to act alone, he's almost got something, he makes a mistake, he gets angry, pain causes him and people around him, regrets, wants vengeance. It's the same thing. Whereas Amanda, it kind of tried to bridge the gaps, but even then, it was really shoddy. This one, I feel like there was a bit more strength, but it was just much of the same. It was just kind of an alternate telling. That's my thoughts. Stevie Bryson, thoughts on the desecration of the heart, or desecration of heart. What?
I'll say just hearing, the overview of both of these, it sounds like, and this being their first licensed tome, they were playing it safe.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine. I don't know the details of the Castlevania tome, so I can't speak for that. But I thought the Alan Wake one was very unique, and just also that if you know Alan Wake, that story just lends itself to a lot more storytelling options and creativity with multi dimensions and stuff, which DVD very much plays into. But yeah, with Saw, it sounds like they were very much trying to play it safe and really trying to find stories that fit into the current timeline, or the timeline of the movies, I should say, without like paving new paths, which I think is fine because I think with Saw, there's so many movies and there's so much that they can cover and create on their own that they just create one little moment for each of these characters, and I think that does enough.
Stevie, thoughts on desecration of heart?
If it's kind of placing itself like when Tap is still alive and they need a reason for him to still be kind of doing his little thing, it kind of places this one in an odd point where like he's either a disgraced detective already or he's just started working the Jigsaw case. And I think it feels a little incongruent with how Saw 1 plays out. I could treat it as like this is an alternate universe telling, and this is just like, some other universe where Amanda and Tap were, chasing each other. But I think it is very much you have to read it as he has stumbled upon a game that was never meant to go right, and him being there for the kid is the only thing he can do, right? If Amanda set the game up correctly, theoretically the guy could have gotten out on his own, but Tap being there just to watch him die and be with him while he died is kind of it's the heartfelt moment. And it reads like that. It reads like him just talking with the family and trying to do his best to bring the kid to justice, bring the kid, you know, get justice for the kid who's missing at the moment, and then they find him, and then it all goes to shit. It's a nice little retelling of those little flashbacks you get, but placing Tap in the middle of it. So it's like, how would he feel if he saw this? It would be fucked up, wouldn't it?
It would be fucked up, wouldn't it? Exactly. Like, how would you react to that? Oh my god, no, Tapp, no.
My honest reaction to that information, ah! The drill goes through my skull.
So, let's talk about really quickly the cosmetics that came with this rift. We got sort of like a summer vibe for Tapp, and we got the cultist slash robes for Amanda Pig, which got rid of her pig mask and gave her her face out for the first time, and I think the only
Hmm.
time. Quick thoughts about that recently, well, recently, overall, is that they're cool, but they make no fucking sense in the tome. Because hers is about like becoming a disciple for Jigsaw, very basic. Like there could have been lore bits like tying into her story, like talking about Grace or something. No. It's just she wanted to prove to Kramer that she was better than he thought. Ah, it's like, okay, we get it. We get it. We get it. We want to be impressed, John Kramer. We get it. And David Tepps, I don't remember the specific pieces, but his is more like trying to forget Jigsaw. I think his similar, like smaller pieces talk about him not being able to let go of Jigsaw. Eh, that does not tie with his lore at all in the tome. Like base lore, yes. The tome lore, no. I feel like they could have done, in my opinion, maybe given him. This is the problem because they did release a police cosmetic. I don't know if it was before or after, but they could have made the outfit he had on the day that Sirocco died, like the son of Sirocco family died, and it could have like the blood, and maybe his chest piece could have been like the blood of the son of the Sirocco family stained his chest, and even deeper his heart or something like that. I don't know, something cringy. You get the point. I just feel like cool, okay pieces, no connection to the lore. I will say though, I'm pretty sure as the tomes went on, they did a better job at this. It was just this one kind of, yeah. So yeah, that was mainly everything I want to talk about Saw today, and I'm sorry it was kind of negative when we got to the tomes and the lore. I do enjoy the licenses. I really enjoy the
It
characters.
was a
I
great
just feel like
attempt
they
at
have this.
doing what they did, right? But we can be critical. We have high standards
Yeah.
here.
Like I
We're
feel like
picky.
this was very much an early test to see what they could do and see if what license holders would be okay with when making
Yeah.
new lore. And even though sadly Saw had to be the first one, it's not bad. I think it's meh. I think it's like a 4 or 5 out of 10. It's not like actively harming the killers or the characters, not the killers. But I feel like a lot more could have been done. So yeah, I give this, if Unknown was like a 9 out of 10, this would be like a 4 or 5. See, Bryson, any final thoughts before we close off today's episode?
Um. Oh, I've lost it. Crap. Oh, speaking of Saw license holders and such, it has a new license holder. It was bought recently, the rights to those movies. I'm blanking on who, but there was like a whole bidding war and such recently. So maybe we'll see more content in the future. Maybe I don't know. That's I don't expect anything to change in terms of it being in the game like Pinhead, but
Yeah.
there are new license holders. And maybe we'll see more in the future, which would be cool because those characters are. Well, I think the pig is cool. The Tapp is unforgettable for me, at least.
Stevie, final thoughts?
Looking it up real quick. It seems it was Bloomhouse Productions bought the rights to
Ah,
Saw.
yes.
Yes. Blumhouse,
Um,
yes.
they're your favorites behind a bunch of fun stuff.
And we already
Most
know
recent
that
Halloween
them
trilogy.
and Blumhouse are like this. Behavior and Blumhouse are like this because they're making a movie. They did the FNAF collab with
Oh
Matthew
yes.
Illerkin. Like,
Yeah.
we can probably get more cosmetics. Maybe a new tome. Get a tome with updated lore based on the Saw franchise. Maybe actually get character development slash introspection.
Maybe a
Or
Megan chapter. That's a joke. I don't want a Megan chapter.
no, no. That's
Anyway, go ahead, Stevie.
As far as this lower goes, it's a good attempt. It's what we could
yeah.
have assumed that they had cooking. It's hard to fit something in the Saw timeline and have it
Yeah.
kind of come out not weird. Because every time they do retcons in the movies, it feels out of place and it feels like, okay, this is what we're doing now. So feeling it in Dead by Daylight is more of what I'm not a fan of. But if you write down the plot to any Jigsaw story or Saw event, the plot itself just sounds convoluted and like, why am I
It
reading
is.
this? It's meant to be
It
watched
is.
with like punchy editing and tons of, fake
Hmm.
blood spraying everywhere.
Just boom, boom, boom.
Which
Flashing lights.
the gore in those movies is done really well. Like the
Most of
practical
them.
effects
Some of them
is
are shoddy, like Saw
the
3D.
first. Yeah, the first four at least
When you
is
Yeah,
can
what I'm
first
laugh
referring
four,
at
to.
them, that's how
amazing.
you know you've gotten to a point where you're just like, okay, I was sick at that first gag that they did, but this final trap they're doing is just funny to me. That's usually how it
Yeah.
goes. You kind
I
of get
will
like
say
this
though,
roller
this
coaster.
movie definitely has some memorable traps. And before we end up with the episode, two things. I feel like, yeah, we're extending the runtime. We're making this episode long, long. Uh, what's everyone's favorite trap in the Saw
That's a
franchise?
good
I
question.
know what mine is, but we're gonna start with you, Stevie. What
Oh
is your
fuck.
Up
favorite trap?
first,
Yeah. Hey,
um, I okay, if we're not counting like a whole game, if we're counting one jigsaw trap slash room slash
Yeah.
puzzle
One
slash
trap
okay.
specifically.
I love the Saw 5. It's the one that the pig boxes in the game are based off of. They work a little different in game. You just kind of put your hands in and you like, maybe
Oh
you
yeah,
take
the
that off.
blood cutting one, yeah?
But the blood cutting one where it's you, oh, please fill up this pint with fucking 5 liters of blood and the human body has 5 liters in it just in general. So you have to put a whole person's worth of blood in this jar, and it's Saw 5. So of course the final trap is gonna. To me, it feels like the key of it is that they just stick their hand in and a saw blade cuts through their fingers, and
It's
the
so not,
guys
it's so gross. It's so gross. I
it's
hate
so gross. It throws me off every time I think about it. So like please
it.
mute right now for the next few minutes because we're gonna talk gross stuff. It like splits down the middle and it creates a V and he pulls his hand out and looks at it and I'm like, that's the Saw V. That's Saw 5. He made a 5 in his hand with a saw. And that always gets me. I love that part.
Yes. Bryson, what's your favorite Saw trap?
I don't know if I have a favorite, but one that's memorable to me is in four when the main detective of that movie, the protagonist, I don't remember his name. He goes to a hotel, a sketchy hotel, and like the manager is has supposedly, sexually assaulted several women or whatnot, and he is
Going
thrown
on.
into a trap where he's spread out, kind of like he's going to be quartered or whatnot, and he has to decide to, he has to puncture out both of his eyes, otherwise he'll get ripped apart. And he does one of them, and he doesn't do the other one in time, and then his limbs start getting cut off, and it's just what a way to
But
go!
he's like
Like,
he's a
just
big dude
it's really
too.
quick too. It's not a long scene, but it just like really it's very quick, and he does one of his eyes, and then his arms just start coming off because they're getting
Oh,
ripped
so,
off.
so
It's
that's such a
yeah, it's and it's you don't unfortunately like it's really quick. Like they're quick flashes. You don't get to see
Mhm,
the gore, but yeah, I just thought that was a really memorable scene just because like
mhm.
oh man, you got to gouge out your own eyes, otherwise you're gonna get ripped apart. Like
Yeah.
oof, that's
Very
brutal.
gross. I
Mhm.
think my favorite trap. I think this is also Saw 5. I could be wrong. It's either Saw 5 or Saw 6, maybe Saw 4. It's the shotgun carousel.
Or you think it's Saw 6?
Saw 6, yes. But basically, there's like this healthcare CEO for the listeners and viewers, and there's 5 or 6 people on this rotating carousel, and they're strapped down. And the guy has like the shotgun mounted to the thing, and Jigsaw's like, "Hey, you have to kill 4 of these 6 people within like 5 minutes, and if you don't, they all die. Have fun." And it's just really interesting because in this trap, it's not him deciding that fate; it's like I mean, it's not him deciding his own fate, but other people's fate, which I find is really interesting as Saw Trap because it's mainly about the person being tested. But spoiler for Saw 6, the entire movie is kind of judging him based on each test, as influenced by 2 people at the end who kind of watched the whole thing. Slash, I think only like the last 5 minutes actually of his test, so they don't see him like murdering people. But the point is, he does not feel good about this because John Kramer's whole purpose of teaching this test is that he wants to show this healthcare CEO it's not fun to judge people's lives because, spoiler alert for Saw 6, he's the guy who denied the healthcare for John Kramer to treat his cancer, which made it terminal. So in Saw 6, he's trying to, like, each test he takes, because there's multiple tests he has to does, he's trying to show that making him choose people's lives is not fun. He's making him see the dark side. So by him having to kill people or they all die, it's just really gnarly, especially when the shotgun isn't too gratuitous. It doesn't like blow their head off or anything. It's just straight to the chest, they're dead. It's just really direct and not as gruesome as you think, but the impact of having these 6 people beg for their lives, lying and trying to put other people first just to get them out of the way. I'm pretty sure one of them claims to be pregnant, only to reveal later she's not pregnant.
Oh,
Which is
Mm.
yeah.
crazy. But yeah, that was my favorite trap. Shotgun carousel. Saw 6, I believe. Yeah. And now that we've said that, we're on our final little bit, and I promise the episode will end soon. Listeners and viewers, I promise, and for no reason. I just want to know the spoilers for Spiral, because I think you mentioned it, Stevie. Why are the spoilers? What happens? Why is it so bad? What
Um,
happened?
I personally haven't watched it. I have no intention to. It's it's a weird one. It's the weird like cousin of all the Saw movies. It kind of
Oh,
just takes place outside of the Saw universe, so you kind of
Hmm.
get the whole
wait,
copycat
what?
killer has to be the whole point of it. And it's mainly about like good cops, bad cops, and
Yeah.
nothing else.
So it's like, is it in the same universe, or is it out of universe?
It's in the same universe, but you have none of the same characters. It's just kind of like a
A copy.
nod to Jigsaw's thing by having a new guy do it.
I mean, like, I
Weird.
like the pig theme in that movie, because there's a lot of, like, cops are pigs theming in that movie that I've heard.
Hmm.
But like I haven't heard much besides that, and that being it's one of the worst ones, sadly. Bryson, did you know
Well,
anything about Spiral at all?
I know nothing other than some of the actors that are in it. I know Samuel L. Jackson's in it.
He's in that?
Samuel
I
Jackson is
didn't
in
know
it.
that.
They could not get him scheduled to film with any actors, so all of the scenes with Samuel L. Jackson are just him. There's no one else in no one else acting with him. It's just him, and then
Is
they
That's
he John
configure it.
Kramer in this
insane.
movie? Is he John
I guess he
Kramer?
was really hot with like Marvel around that time, so maybe that's why.
Oh, was he? Yeah, because he was
Like
playing.
he was
He was playing
This
Fury.
would have been
Shield guy,
Spiral would
right?
have been filmed like close to 2018, 2019,
Yeah,
more likely
yeah,
2019
What
into
was is that
2020,
the
and
Infinity
then
War was happening?
ooh yes,
yeah, around there.
yeah.
Because I graduated college 2019. I think it released either that year or the year prior.
Spiral was supposed to release 2019 and then got delayed, and then COVID delayed it further.
Yeah. Because of the thing we can't say it, we can't say that. We'll get banned.
For
We can't
what?
say the COVID. Jokes aside, I think we can say it. I'm pretty sure. It'd be kind of weird if they're like, "You're banned. You said COVID."
We're 80 minutes
No.
into the pod. They can't find us here.
Don't worry, it's the
Say
AI. The Gem AI has evolved. Now they
we
can track
we
people.
we should just do like a movie review for an episode. Like we all go watch Spiral, and which we talked about with licenses that are in the game, which we've not done an episode of yet. I guess this is sort of that, although it's a
Yeah.
franchise
Yeah,
and
it's
kind
a
of
franchise
some remembering
review
it, but
because it's where all the lore comes from.
Yeah.
so I'd like to do a Halloween one around
Yes.
Halloween. So that'll
Like
be in a few
Halloween the
weeks.
holiday or Halloween the movie?
Both.
Both for Halloween.
That's very fair. I'm looking forward to this holiday because if it isn't blue, we're winning. If it's not
Oh,
blue, we're
God.
winning.
This rift.
I guarantee you it's blue. I
I
bet
don't want
it's
it to be
blue.
blue, please, for the love of God.
The Halloween event will be blue for sure. For sure.
More
That
void.
void will be blue as
More
fuck.
void.
It's been over 2 or 3 years of blue. I'm tired of fucking blue. Can we
Yeah,
get like purple?
I doubt they recolor
Orange?
those assets, but
God forbid red? I don't know.
I mean the void skins are all blue.
I'm tired of the void.
for-
Okay. I did not care for the void skins.
We'll
It
have to
insists
see what
upon
they drop.
itself.
We'll have to
It
wait on that.
insists upon itself.
We have a month yet, so we'll see then.
Wow. That should have been one of my hot takes. I hate the void skins. Womp womp.
Lukewarm take. People hate every skin.
Unless it's Bikini Sable. You're wrong. Unless it's Bikini Sable.
I hate Bikini Sable.
Well, you're
It's
not
just-
the target demographic. We're looking at like
True,
20-year-old
true.
little guys who are like, I'm
Little
going
guys.
You know what I mean? And if that's you guys, that's totally fine. Or if you're a lady,
No, it's not.
I
It's not
forgive
me.
you. That's totally fine. We respect that. But if you're like a
Yeah,
20-year-old guy who's
listeners
like,
and
yes,
viewers,
it was
post
so
ASL in
fun.
the comments.
If you're a listener of our podcast, we respect you. This is not targeted at you. This is all to the people who don't and are just gooners.
I mean, hey, we had a Sable listener
We
email
did.
us in.
They're one of, like,
tell us
the-
about Sable.
No,
So
that's awful.
and they loved our thoughts on Sable. So
Yeah.
Sable listeners, we love you.
Though
We
I
might not
will
like the
say,
character, but we love you.
though I will say, my words are not to be taken as honest 100% just because I play gotcha games. That is like Gooner Central, so I I can't say much besides I am
Yeah.
one of you, you are one of me. We're allowed to judge each other. So yeah, send comments being like, Madison, what gotcha games you go to?
I mean,
Ignore
every
that.
game's
Ignore
got it,
that.
right? Like not even just gotcha games. Like, have you seen Marvel Rivals? Have you seen
Yeah,
those skins
no.
for some of those characters? I mean, they've just recently came out with back-to-back women in that game, like
Mhm.
Invisible Woman,
I'm thinking about
Emma
that Mantis
Emma
skin.
Frost and stuff.
I'm thinking about the Mantis
Yeah,
skin. And
Mana Skin's got
she's
one.
just shaking those hips. It's low key. Okay. Sorry. Anyways,
Yeah, we're getting way off topic. This is now.
I'm still
Listeners,
thinking about
viewers,
the
we
pig.
greatly appreciate your support. Don't forget to leave us a review and share the podcast with a family member or friend. It helps us get new listeners, and we very much appreciate it. Thank you, Stevie. Thank you, Bryson. And thank you, everyone, listeners and viewers. We'll see you in the fog next week.
Oink oink.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.